actually is the lead play in our offense.
Tell the tackle to take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, you drive down the first man who is inside. Fullback, you tell him to take the first man outside the offensive tackle. No one goes. Go right by them and field inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. So look at this play. What we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. You can find me on Twitter at Packers_access. If you'd like to email the show, you can send a message to PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. If you want to text the show, you can hit us up at 865-658-5824. I'm joined alongside Tim live in Green Bay, a snowy Halloween night up in the Bay, man. It's really coming down up there, huh?
Man, I had to put a turtleneck on today, man. Got a little cold.
You ain't got that body fat like me, man. You got
no, man. I might blow away out there too if it's too windy. So I had to throw on an extra layer today. But no, yeah, we got a little bit of snow up here, right on time. Barely November, and we get snow.
No doubt. Well, obviously, we're going to lead off with the big news tonight, guys. Big trade today.
Rasul did something happen? Something happened?
Yeah, exactly. Oh. It's funny too because I have seen very, very, very few people defend this trade. Obviously, we're talking about the Rasul Douglas trade, right? And, you know, of course, we'll get into the details of the trade. We'll get into the salary cap ramifications, at least on the surface. We don't want to guarantee anything, but we got kind of an idea there and obviously the compensation. And we'll cover the whole shebang, right? And people are already in the chat lighting it up. I feel really comfortable saying that just based off of the feedback I got on Twitter, just watching Twitter, probably about 20-1. 20 Packer fans not liking the trade to 1 maybe liking it. That's kind of been the ratio I've seen. We've also got a poll too that I'll hit on here too, Tim. I forgot to put that down, so I'll make sure we touch base on that poll that I put out earlier on Twitter. But so let's do this, man. Let's kind of hit on it right off the bat. We'll go ahead and hit. Well, actually, I want to do it in a little bit different order, first of all, and kind of give you guys our perspective. Let me hit the super chat real quick first, okay? I definitely want to honor that. Josh Martin, thank you for the super chat. He said, this move today is a prefix for what's about to happen in the offseason. Old vets like Preston, Bach, Jones are gone, and 24 will be even younger. You know, if you had said that yesterday before any trade, Josh, I would say you're crazy, dude. There's no way. This now to me feels like, I don't want to say it, Tim, but I'm just going to say it. And again, we need to get into all the details, but I wanted to hit this super chat. This feels like a tank job, man. Like, you're not going to convince me your team is better without Rasul Douglas, right? Now it comes down to the compensation and the money saved. And even with those two things applied, I don't think it's a good move. But let's just kind of jump right into it. Again, Josh Martin, thank you so much for the super chat. I think that's well said, man. I would not rule any of that out based off of what we just saw. But first things first. So you guys know after the game Sunday, we were talking about Rasul Douglas being a leader in the locker room, right? This was Ryan Wood's tweet. You can follow him at by Ryan Wood. And this was like immediately following the game, 5:11. So you're roughly an hour after the game was over, I'm assuming maybe 2 hours local time. Rasul Douglas still hasn't taken post-game shower. He's been holding court at his locker. Darnell Savage was first. Malik Heath stopped by. Elton Jenkins and Dontavian Wicks with him now. Packers actively trying to figure this out, and veteran Douglas's locker is the epicenter. All right. We talked about that, right, Tim? We talked about how Rasul Douglas is a leader. And the other thing, too, he's a corner that's willing to tackle. We've seen it all year long. One of the few bright spots on defense from a tackling standpoint, you would see Rasul come up and put his nose in there and make a tackle. You've seen him kind of be the leader on the field while Ja was out, right? Even when Ja was on the field, to me, I started to feel like Rasul's the new leader of this secondary. Am I wrong thinking that, Tim?
No, not at all. And that was why a lot of the talk, even in the offseason with our safety issues, was do we move Rasul to safety? It shows you the value that he brought to this team. And yeah, I mean, I don't think even, you talked about 20-1 people who hate this trade versus who like this trade. Even the one that's saying, oh, this could be good, they're on the fence. They're not 100% with it. I think the thing that strikes me is it wasn't just Rasul, but we gave up a pick. So we gave up a pick and Rasul for a third-round pick. The Packer fan in me really hates this move. But the guy that really respects and loves Rasul Douglas is happy for him. And go have yourself a hell of a year, Rasul.
Yeah.
Go out there and ball out like we know you're going to do. Just like when we sent Micah Hyde packing, and he went to Buffalo and had himself a career. You go finish strong, brother, and have some success and enjoy playing meaningful football in December. And I don't know if I'm going to go quite as far as the tank job.
It's pretty extreme.
Viewpoint, but I will tell you this. There is certainly no doubt that this year is a wrap already. If you're speaking from a, organizational standpoint, what they're saying without saying it, I mean, that's what this signifies. I mean, let's be honest. He's one of the best players on the team. And you just shipped him for, a third-round pick. So which who knows, a third-round pick, whatever that could mean, whatever number that ends up being and whatever player we end up taking, history could prove that this might be a good deal. Let's see where we're at next year. But right now it stings, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of us that have been seeing the struggles this team's been going through. And to see Rasul be a voice of reason, it seemed like, in that locker room, or at least someone willing to step up and lead and say, I'm sick of losing. Let's figure this out. And then we send him packing. I mean, I don't know what kind of message that sends to your players and to your locker room,
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Chris in the chat said, why would the Packers trade one of the only guys on defense with the right attitude, Douglas to the Bills? And so let's kind of hit on the trade real quick, just the details. Obviously, the Packers trade Rasul Douglas and a 2024 fifth-round draft pick to the Buffalo Bills for a 2024 third-round draft pick. Tim, I'm not so concerned. Not that you are, but you're right. It's not like they just gave him up for a third-round pick. Like they had to give up a fifth as well. I'm not so tore up on the fifth-round pick, right? That doesn't. It's just the thought of, when you trade a draft pick, trade a player for a draft pick, it's a trade, and it's a trade that's going to come due at some point, right? You're going to look up and go, okay, we traded Rasul Douglas for this player, right? That's how that works. It's the same thing with the Devontae Adams trade. You can do it with the Devontae Adams trade. You can do it with the Aaron Rodgers trade. At the end of the day, when you trade Aaron Rodgers, what that deal is going to tell us when everything's finalized, that second round pick, you traded Aaron Rodgers for that pick. Oh, by the way, you ate $40 million in cap. Like that's essentially what the trade is. With Rasul Douglas, that's what it's going to be. Who did we pick up with that third round pick and that fifth round pick that they take? So essentially, we traded Rasul Douglas and that player for the player that we take at the third round, unless of course we bundle them up and trade up and that type of thing. But it's just
that was my thought. Was this a plan? Like, is this part of a plan? Like,
it feels like it.
Like a maneuvering plan. Like, we're not even going to draft anyone with this pick. We're gonna package it and trade it. So I don't know. It's too early. We can speculate all we want, but this still stings, man. Like,
yeah.
I don't think any of us saw this coming.
No, I know I didn't, man.
Yeah.
Omer in the chat said he'll spend that third round pick or more to replace the talent Buffalo absolutely stole from the Packers today. Pretty evident Goody, like you said, Gutty, has decided to tank because he is obsessed with draft capital. Again, Tim, I'm glad you're kind of walking me back from the ledge a little bit with this tank stuff. But there's no doubt about it, man. He is obsessed with those draft picks. And it's like, what I've been coming to the realization of this last year and a half, 2 years are these teams that are willing to give up picks for proven commodities are the ones who are going deep in the playoffs. People don't like to hear it, but the Rams picking up Odell Beckham Jr. that year is the reason they made it to the Super Bowl. His PFF grade throughout the playoffs was in the 80s. Like he was just lights out. And he started strong in the Super Bowl, and of course he blows his ACL out, but he got him there, helped get him there and get him over the hump, and they had this whole joke, F them picks and all that. I'm not saying you go to that extreme, but when you're not willing to give up, like today, for instance, Chase Young, the 49ers traded and got Chase Young for a third-round pick. Okay, so I want you to think about this for a second. Chase Young,
that's insane.
He's one of the top edge defenders in all of the National Football League. You've seen the famous soundbite from Mike Tomlin before the game saying, "Man, I'm a big fan of yours." He said, "But I don't ever plan on being able to draft a guy like you. We never want to be picking that high." Meaning that's a slam dunk pick. Chase Young is an absolute monster, having a little bit of a down year, but still an absolute monster, right? So when you think about, okay, would you have been okay if we gave up a second-round pick for Chase Young? And people immediately go, well, the edge room's full. I don't care how full the edge room is. That's a dynamic playmaker on defense. I would have been willing to jump them and give up a second to take a Chase Young. But that's out of the question. You're not allowed to even think about that, right? But we're willing to give up our best player in the secondary. And, yes, that includes Jair Alexander right now. Look, you don't believe me, go watch the tape. You don't believe me, go look at the PFF grade. You don't believe me, go look at the deep dive analytics on SIS and anything else that involves Jair Alexander. Well, he's hurt. Okay, let's find another excuse for a guy who's underperforming and arguably the highest paid corner in the league. It's just mind-boggling that we're not willing to give up draft capital to get proven commodities, but then we'll trade away a proven commodity to get a little bit of draft capital. It just blows my mind. Let's see. Josh Martin may disagree. Let's see here. I get the trade. He'll be 29 on the back end of his career, save $6.5 million next year, and get some value for him. But he is a vocal leader. We'll be missing. He will be 29. You're absolutely right. But my point is, you had him on the books last year for like $9 million, and like you said, technically you could say $6.5 million because that's all you're saving by getting rid of him, right? Because of the penalty. But if you keep him on the roster next year, what it tells me is we're not planning on competing next year. That's the vibe I'm getting. Or else, why would you trade away your best player in the secondary, who, in my opinion, was an absolute bargain against the cap? You don't believe me? Look at Jair Alexander's contract, whom Rasul Douglas is outperforming. Some would argue he outperformed him last year, right? So I don't know, man. It's a tough one. I respectfully disagree, Josh, but I appreciate you voicing your opinion for sure, man. Let's see. Let's climb down here real quick, and then we'll get back to some of the images we were going to show here. Zane Strong in the house. What's up, buddy? Let's see here. Zane Strong says 29 is gone. I'm all sick about that. Let's see. Omer in the chat says, I'll bring tomatoes for Goody's press conference if I should be. That's another one too, man. I put a tweet out earlier today, Tim, and all I asked was, when was the last time Goody spoke to the media, right? And I was genuinely asking, trying to think, what was the last thing he told us, right? That's my mindset.
August.
They come out of the woodwork. GMs don't speak during the season. Okay, everybody calm down. I was just asking, right? They get all defensive. And then what happens? Boom. Scheduled a press conference for tomorrow. You could bet your rear end I'm sitting back and I thought we didn't do press conferences during the season. So anyway, just absolutely wild. Let's see. We got a couple super chats here. Mike Hebring, good for Brazil, good for the Bills. Goot, we shall see. Yeah. Hey, unless that third rounder turns into a starter within 2 to 3 years, I don't see. That's the thing. I mean, maybe they are bunching it up, Tim, to try to get up there in way up there in the first. Let's say we finish in the season and we end up with a top 5 pick, right? I mean, you can bundle that second and that third and get all the way up to number 1 if you wanted to, probably, right? You can get at least in the ballpark. Now, there's going to be a lot of other teams bidding on that. There's no doubt about that because this is a quarterback-heavy draft class. But that's another thing in the back of my mind is this Goody prepping to take a quarterback, dude,
Yeah, that I was talking to my buddy Tony earlier today about that same thing. Like, oh, man, is this a little bit of a panic move or a preemptive panic move? J Love doesn't look like the dude right now. I got to try and save face. Let me stack up some draft capital, quarterback heavy draft coming up. I mean, at this point, first of all, I'm surprised that we made a move before the trade deadline, and then I'm even more surprised at the move that we made. So it wouldn't surprise me if we drafted a quarterback, because what would be the point of stacking up capital and packaging a deal to move up? Or what would be the point of writing this year off and tanking and saying, hey, let's see how high we can go, if you're not going to go for one of those top tier type picks? What's the point? I mean, you could even argue about receiver. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. is in this draft. You know, he's I think would be agreed upon as probably a generational talent. That's a guy that even if you're not looking for a wideout, you probably want to draft him if you can get him and he's available on the board. But I see other issues. I see offensive line, defensive line issues, back end secondary issues. There's plenty of things we can address in the draft. It concerns me that maybe Goody's planning on drafting another quarterback, man.
Smug Industries, thank you for the super chat. He says, "Get ready to paint your nails, boys. It's Caleb Williams time."
Oh no!
For me, man,
that is a bust waiting to happen, man. Absolute bust waiting to happen.
I'm trying to bite my tongue on it, Tim, because I want to see how the year plays out. Right? He hasn't impressed me. I know people love his arm talent, his ability to improvise, and my argument there is, if he didn't have the ability to improvise, what draft grade would you put on him? This is the same thing I say about mobile quarterbacks. If they're so good, right, and they're dynamic and this and that, okay, take their feet away for a minute. If they can't scramble, the rules have changed, right? And you have to stay in the pocket and pass. What would be your draft grade? Probably a 5th-round pick. Okay, I'm sorry. That's not the number 1 overall pick, then. That's just the way I feel. And I could be wrong. But, yeah, let's I'm going to hold judgment right now, Smug. You guys know how I feel about Caleb. Getting emotional here. You know how I feel about Caleb. I'm not a big fan, but you know, let's let the season play out. Let's get through the offseason and see what he looks like, right? If indeed we are in the market. Who knows? Jordan Love might play lights out the rest of the year and we not even be, you know, in the conversation for a quarterback. I personally don't see that, but I would welcome that with open arms for sure. But thank you for the super chat there, Smug and Mike. United Bates, thank you for the super chat. He says, didn't we sign Woodson when he was 30? Come on, very good point. You know, I think we do. The whole age thing bothers me, Tim, especially in the draft. It's like, you know, well, they're too old for the Packers. And I'm going, he's 23. What do you mean he's too old? Like, yeah. So, you know, that I don't know, man. I just never seen that as like this big, you know, selling point to me, because it's amazing. You draft him at 21 and what's everybody say? Well, he's young. It's going to take a few years. You draft him at 23. They're too old. Like, how does that make sense? But again, United Bates, thank you for the super chat, man. Mike Hebring, super chat, says, let's hope this is a plan to get a quarterback. Mike, that's what it feels like, buddy. That is definitely what it feels like. And I think Mike has been pretty vocal that he believes that Jordan Love isn't the guy, you know. And I think he would also agree that could change, but the way it sits right now, if things continue to go the way they're going, Mike, and what I'm seeing on tape, I'd have to agree with you right now. But I do want to give them the whole season, you know. Now we might as well. I'm eager to see what this defense looks like now. Like Joe Barry's on his way out now. I guarantee you that.
He might not be the only one either.
Right. It kind of that's what I'm saying, man. This is just, it's strange. I don't know, man. It's just a piece you would want to keep in place. It'd be different if you had a $18 million cap hit next year. You know what I mean? I'd be like, okay, you know what? You're shaving off quite a bit. $6.5 million. Put that in perspective, guys. That's $1.5 million. No, I'm sorry. That's a little over $1 million less than we paid for Darnell Savage. I paused for dramatic effect. Like, what the heck are we doing? All right. Thank you again, Mike, for the super chat. Goose, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, Williams is absolutely Goot's wet dream of a quarterback pros. Could be, man. Could be. You know, they liked Aaron because he was an improviser, right? They liked Jordan because that was one of the things on his docket was he could throw off platform and all that. Who knows, man? I do know this. If they do get in the top 3, Tim, and they take one of these top 2 quarterbacks, I feel comfortable saying that either of those quarterbacks, based off what I've seen, is better than Jordan Love up to this point, right? But then comes the question, Tim, do you put him in right away or do you let him sit? I know we're getting the cart ahead of the horse there, but you know what I'm saying?
I think you gotta if you make that move, you gotta play him. I
Yeah,
mean, if you're gonna do all that and you're gonna draft that high and take this one of these guys, I mean, they gotta go right away. They gotta play because you're. I mean, you're already admitting you whiffed with Jay Love at that point, and you've got 3.5 years of development into him, so you can't
and ran the franchise quarterback off too. By the way.
Yep. So you can't afford to like draft another guy, and and plus, what are you going to do? Develop him behind a quarterback that you're not sure of? Like, obviously, you're gonna if you go first round quarterback, he's gonna start, he's gonna play. You can have a competitive camp all you want, but it'll be known pretty quickly who QB1 would be. And I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation at this point. Like I said, we don't know. What is the deadline midnight tonight? Is that
no? I think it was 5 o'clock. I believe.
So it was 5 p.m. So it's over. So nothing else is going to happen today. So any trade or any packaging or maneuvering is going to obviously be something we'll see during the draft, or potentially after we clear the offseason period or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look good. It shows you how much we know, though. And we have to remember, people in 1265 they know things that we don't. I don't know. There might have been other things involved with this deal. Other reasons. The press conference tomorrow will be interesting, but I guarantee you we're going to get a lot of generic boilerplate type answers. So I'm not waiting.
Tim,
I'm not waiting with bated breath at all to listen to that. I don't anticipate learning much.
He's going to say, yeah, about that. That's his big line. He's going to say, yeah, about that. Rasul was a great player, good locker room guy, but we just felt it was the best interest of the club to move on.
Yep.
It's going to be something that's
next question. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Drew in the chat says, if you get a top quarterback, do you have LaFleur raise another first-round quarterback talent? That's the other thing, too. Do we trust LaFleur to be the one to develop the next quarterback? He has not developed a quarterback in his entire career, obviously. And, one of the things Mike Wall said when we had him on the pod was they don't seem like they're developing. Another thing that Michael Lombardi has mentioned several times on his pod is you've got these play caller coaches, and you got play caller coaches, and you got scheme coaches, you got developmental coaches, right? Well, he's a scheme coach. That's what LaFleur is. Now, can he be a developmental coach? Let's hope so, right? But right now, the way it sits, I would have to say he's a scheme coach. Now, here's the bad part. That 12 personnel top formation scheme, that don't seem to be working either. So It's just tough, man. It's tough. So let's see. Goose wants to clear the air here. He says, put some respect on my name. He says, I don't like Williams, to be clear. So he just want to make sure.
Let me be clear. Let me be clear. I do not like Williams either.
Look at Zane Strong trying to stir up the pot in here. We all know we're going defense in the first round.
Yeah, there it is. Be a safety, baby.
Yeah. Paul Robertson in the chat. I said a better version, but they're both improvisational quarterbacks that create with their legs. Let's see here. Omar in the chat says, problem with this organization is too conservative and change comes slowly. They'll suffer long first watch and see before they fire these. I ain't going to say the last part. I don't want to be rude. You know what I'm saying? But, hey, I get you, Omar. I get you, buddy. I do. Goose in the chat. I love Omar's over in France. He don't care, dude. He's just letting it fly.
Pardon my French.
Goose in the chat said, you cannot, in all caps, cannot play Love after drafting a top quarterback you moved up for.
That's right.
Yeah, and you know what? It scares me too. I agree with that, Goose. I completely agree. But also, it's like they come out there and they get beat to death and lose that confidence right off the bat. That's tough too, man. Not everybody's tough enough like Peyton Manning to go out and lead the league in interceptions and then still have the football IQ plus the drive, the willingness to study, master their craft to become a Hall of Fame quarterback, right? It's tough, man. Definitely kind of a tough spot there. Let's do this. We'll get back to the chat here in just 1 second. Let's see. We got a couple other things here we're going to hit on. So you're probably wondering how's the locker room handling it, right? Keyshawn Nixon just tweeted this out immediately following the trade. He just put a broken heart emoji. Guys, make no mistake about it. He was the leader on this defense in that locker room. And it just, I don't, I don't know, man. And listen, here's the thing too. Rasul just had a bad game, right? He had his worst game of the season this past Sunday. And even with that, he's a top 20 corner. And we'll talk about that here in a second. But Tim, I think it's where it's going to hurt the most, man, is because you're trying to create this family atmosphere, right? This family environment, this sense of, hey, it's us against the world. Nobody believes in us. And the one guy who was making no excuses and that you could tell his teammates were constantly looking to, that's the one you trade. It's got to hurt the locker room, right?
Yeah, and I think it points to the clear, obvious indicator here that there is a clear disconnect between the locker room and the front office right now. There just is. I mean, we talked a little bit about Jair the other night. You know, we played his post-game interview, and then, you know, as the saga continues, we're hearing about, you know, him kind of clashing with the Packers PR team shortly after that interview as well. So clearly there's this mentality between, you know, the locker room feeling like they're part of one team, and then you've got, you know, executive branch, front office, management kind of is like this other wing. That's not unity in an organization. That's not cohesiveness. That's not one vision, one goal, one drive. That is, you know, people making decisions and guys having to deal with it. I think a lot of guys are being told to just, hey, this is what it is. Go through the motions. And we as fans don't want to see, you know, another half of this season of just going through the motions, because, you know, the first half didn't turn out so well. So I don't think that's a good approach going forward. And yeah, you cut the heart out of that defense. Certainly that secondary. I don't know about the defense as a whole, but you cut the heart out of that secondary, no doubt. And maybe, who knows, you know, maybe something good comes out of this. Maybe we get a gigantic leap forward from Rudy Ford as a leader. Maybe, you know, Jair changes his tune and steps up his play and emerges as a leader. But I don't know. Those are big shoes to fill, you know, with Rasul leaving. So there's definitely a hole in the heart of a lot of those guys in that locker room right now.
Definitely. Smug Industries, thank you for the super chat. He said, reminder, we could have had T. Higgins, but our GM wanted to cosplay as Ted Thompson. It's an interesting way of wording it for sure. Yeah, you know, you got to be careful though, Smug, because the Goody lovers, when you mention anybody other than Jordan Love being drafted, well, they could have got this guy, they could have got this guy, they lose their mind. And I think they lose their mind because it's a pretty decent argument. So I'm not a huge T. Higgins guy, but any upgrade would have helped that team other than a backup quarterback that's going to sit for 3 years, right? Hindsight's 2020. At the time, I agreed with the pick. I could sit here today and say I was wrong. And I realized I was wrong after Aaron wins his first MVP, and I'm going, okay, hopefully we learned our lesson there. I know I did. This guy's still got a lot left in the tank. Let's build a team around him and go win a Super Bowl, right? And, of course, that never I don't know, materialized. But thank you so much for the super chat, Smoke. Appreciate you, buddy. Drew D with the super chat. Drew says, any chance we go after Cousins if he becomes a free agent?
Good God, no.
Tim said he'll still look like he's in purple to me. I like Kirk Cousins. I think he's a good quarterback. Here's the problem. I think he's 34, if I remember correctly, right? He's going to break the bank. He's going to be one of the highest paid free agents in this year's free agency. The other thing is, if he doesn't get paid top dollar, it's going to be because of the Achilles, and that's another reason to maybe not, go after him. So I don't like that idea, Drew, and mainly because, if you do sign Kirk Cousins, right, and we're obviously in a rebuild, I think we can all put our swords down now and respectfully agree this is a rebuild, right? I know a lot of people got upset about that word getting thrown around, but I think we all know now this is a rebuild. So if it's a rebuild, you trade Rasul away so you don't have him next year, right? And then all of a sudden you bring in Kirk Cousins, what for, right? Because you're not going to be ready to compete next year.
He's not signing a long-term deal either. I mean, especially with the Achilles now, right? What do you think? A 2-3 year deal max coming off of this late in his career?
Yeah.
So
definitely. But Drew, I don't know, man. In the chat, if you don't care, Drew, I'll try to pick it up, man. The chat's pretty lit tonight, so I may overlook it. But let me know if you think Cousins would be a good fit. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not sitting here trying to prove anybody wrong. I'd like to know your honest opinion too, because you're just asking us the question. I'd like to know what your answer is. But for me right now, I would have to say no. But we bring in Emilio now from Tennessee. Let me get to this super chat, Emilio. Then we're going to get your take on this trade. I think I have an idea of how you feel about it, but. Seth Ruder with the super chat. My boy Seth, hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope the baby's doing good in the family. Man, I was showing the guys some pictures of us hanging out at Lambeau the other day. It was awesome time for sure. He says, hey, guys, quick point. J-Love has only had Clements for one full season before this year. Before that, he had Getsy, who was just Rodgers' buddy. Nothing – oh, man, he had to – okay, here we go. Nothing like
live game experience.
Got it. Okay. Thank you guys for deciphering that. Live game. So I was going live gave. I don't know. I'm so uneducated. That must be slang. Now, live game experience. He has struggled, but I am on the side of giving more time, probably 2 years, unless we can find the guy in the draft. I think that's a fair argument, Seth. For me, I want to at least give him this whole year to see what we got. Right. That's the plan, in my opinion. We got to see what we have there. Now, if you're suggesting, okay, we don't find ourselves in a position to get one of those guys with one of those top grades, one of those franchise quarterback grades, right? Which, by the way, Will Levis was one that the 33rd team had one of those franchise grades on. I know it's only one game, but did you guys see what he did Sunday? Like, looking like a stud, looking like a good pickup. We'll see, though. He's got to put it together consistently. But, yeah, I think that's very fair. If we go into this next season, Seth, and you correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I think you're saying. If we go into this offseason and we don't, let's say we're picking 7th and those top tier quarterbacks are gone, now you're basically faced with drafting someone that had a similar draft grade as Jordan Love on your draft board, right? And I don't think that makes sense, taking a step back with inexperience for the same type of ceiling you would have with Jordan Love, theoretically speaking. You know what I mean? These things aren't so cut and dry as I'm making them sound right now. But yeah, if you find the guy in the draft, whether it's Caleb Williams you fall in love with, or if it's my guy Drake May, Riley Leonard too is another one I like, out of Duke. Yeah, if he's not the guy, yeah, give Love one more year. I can see that being fair. But Emilio, man, it's been crazy in here, dude. Obviously, the Rasul Douglas trade. And again, Seth Ruder, thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. Appreciate it. Emilio, what do you think, man? Give us your thoughts. We've been in here acting like a couple jackasses already. So
I was listening on the drive home, and I was listening to Ryan's pod earlier today when I was working, and he was talking about Cassidy's, Rasul holding court at his locker, and how.
I got you right here. Go ahead.
What just killed me? Yep, exactly. You want me to read it off?
Yeah, read it off, man.
He overstated just how much Rasul Douglas meant to this Packers team. He was not only a smart physical player on the field, he was a heartbeat of the locker room. On Sunday alone, multiple players came to him after the game to ask for advice, guidance, and more. And I'm pretty sure it was, it was like Wyatt, Keyshawn, everybody that, believes in him wanted to be there and looked to him because he's a leader of this team. The only person that probably deserved the C on his chest this entire time. And now he's going to go over to Buffalo and get a C on his chest right next to Micah Hyde, and they're going to hold down that back.
Oh, my God, they're together. Corner. They're together, Emilio.
So why don't we just find diamonds in the rough for every other team and just pass them out? We'll just start handing them out, because it killed me hearing that. I thought you guys were messing with me. I really did.
I fact checked it 3-4 times before I put anything out, because I'm like, they're pranking me right now.
And then I thought we got a 3rd and a 5th, and I was like, okay, that's not terrible, but we gave up a 5th and just got a 3rd. I was astonished at that. Why are we giving them extra help? Like, we could have dropped a 7th. I would have been fine with a 5th and we got a 2nd back. Yeah, cool. All right, that's a little bit more reasonable, but. And talking through, the money aspect, how much does it actually save? When are we going to be shooting for our time frame? Rashawn just got signed a 4-year deal. It's got to be within that window. Is it 2 years out? Is it 3 years out? I'm just puzzled, man.
Yeah, it's it's definitely interesting, trying to piece everything together. You actually mentioned just now the cap savings, right? Well, first
Right.
let's go through this first. So PFF wise, right? In the entire National Football League, these are the corners. Rasul is the 18th highest graded corner. Now you guys know he was top 10 last week, but of course he had that horrible game on Sunday, and that dropped him. Even with that, I think he graded out like 47.4 Sunday. Even with that 47.4, which really damages your overall PFF grade because they're all about consistency over there. He only drops to 18th in the league. Like that is absolutely insane. He's been your second best defensive player this year, right? And then of course you're thinking, okay, well we're getting a third round pick for him, right? You're getting a third round pick. Let's take a look at Goody's past third round picks. Y'all hold your get you a barf bag real quick, Tim. This is for Matt Schneib, and he said, after adding another third rounder today, a look at Brian Gutekunst's track record in the third. 2018, Oren Burks. He now plays for the 49ers. 2019, Jay Sternberger. He's out of the NFL now. 2020, Josiah DeGuara. Sunday, Josiah, I don't have it wrote down, but I think he graded out in the 50s. Again, one of the worst tight end / fullbacks in the entire league. 2021, Amari Rodgers, completely out of the NFL now. 2022, Sean Ryan, 0 career offensive snaps. 2023, Tucker Kraft. Of course, you've seen him on the field there Sunday. The only reason he's starting is because we're a little bit banged up at tight end. He will start in place of Musgrave. And, of course, he's in there for most of the 12. No, he's not even there for most of the 12 personnel. It's mostly DeGuara, although this Sunday Tucker Kraft got more snaps than DeGuara. And I do have to credit the coaching staff for that because that's an obvious move that needs to be made. So, yeah. So essentially what you're saying is, guys, in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, would you trade Rasul Douglas for any of those players?
Good God, no.
Negative. and giving up who'd we pick in the 5th round the past 5 years. Add that to it too. And then it just starts piling up. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a tough look, man, for sure. Yeah, so let's talk about the cap savings. All right. Rasul Douglas, this is from Rob Domofsky. And again, guys, take these numbers with a grain of salt. I've seen some people report it was $11 million next year. I've heard some people report it's $9 million. And then with the cap penalty, this is the number that Rob Domofsky has come up with. Okay. And again, when it comes to the cap numbers, don't ever take it to the penny, right? This is a roundabout estimate of what we're looking at. Rasul Douglas is due $9 million next season. So the Packers will gain $6.4 million on next year's cap while getting more draft ammunition. They now have their own first, 2 seconds, one from the Jets in the Rodgers trade, and 2 third-rounders, including the one from the Bills for Douglas. So, again, you're going to have a first, 2 seconds, and 2 thirds. Keep in mind that third is most likely going to be probably a bottom 5 third, seeing that the Bills are one of the best teams in the AFC there and probably going pretty deep in the playoffs, at least making the playoffs. But $6.4 million. I heard somebody say on a podcast earlier today, Tim, like, well, you save they actually said you save $11 million next year. That was a horribly wrong number. But $6.4 million, man. Again, if you're happy with the corners you got, then okay, I got it. Eric Stokes hasn't proven that he can stay on the field. When he has been on the field, in my opinion, he's underperformed, especially last year before he got hurt. Jair Alexander is grading out as a third-string corner right now. I know that makes people mad, but that's the reality of how bad he's played this year. You can blame it on the injuries. You can blame it on the attitude, whatever you want to blame it on. That's the reality of the way he's played up to this point, and he could change that. Let's hope he does. But what do you think about those cap savings there, Tim? Because in my opinion, I think Rasul's worth every freaking $6.4 million.
I was just going to say, at what expense? What expense are you saving here? And we talked a lot about Rasul here, leadership, locker room guy, but man, production on the field, which is hard to come by on this team. The guy is producing for the most part. Yeah, he had an off game. Finally, he had an off game this year. I don't know. I do, looking at those draft picks though. Oh, and Jake Shavink in the chat. I love it. I'd like to see what Jake thinks about,
I'm going to comment for you right now. Carry on.
Yeah, having those the 2 seconds, 2 thirds in the first. I mean, does that seem like is Goody going to try and make a move and pick twice in the first round? And maybe stretch some of these picks around. Maybe we don't pick in the second at all, or maybe we're picking multiple times in the second and we're moving picks around and consolidating, or I don't know. It all depends on who's on your draft board and who you're trying to get, I guess. But it would be interesting to see, just like for context here, what is the plan? Like we see the move, we see the cap savings. What is the plan to come out of this looking like, a year from now that this was a smart move? That's, I guess, what my question is.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Emilio?
I mean, unless he's trying to beef up the O-line or try to take the top 3 tackles and 2/3 together, get us into the second probably. But then you pair a second and a fourth and go up into the first, maybe take 2 first-rounders. He's good at getting 2 first-round picks, but it just in the season, it just hurts. My thing was, do you think Rasul got blindsided by this? Because that man was just like I was saying, he was just playing on the field. He was just dying for this team. He held court after his locker. Monday morning, he wakes up. Does he know about it Monday morning, or does it happen this morning? Does he get a text like, all right, man, pack up. You're going to Buffalo. At least it's still cold. Like,
at least surprise, it's still cold up there.
It makes me wonder about the locker room.
There you go, Tim. Explain what you mean there.
Maybe guys were coming by to say goodbye.
Did they know?
Maybe somebody knew. Maybe there were things known that we didn't know with the trade deadline coming up right after, a couple of days after the game. Maybe they knew it was a wrap. I don't know. We have a thing with vocal leadership, apparently. Zadarius Smith was let go for the same reason a couple years ago. Guys felt like he was too vocal, too hype, too intense, too much rah-rah. And we let him go, which I think was a good move. I'm not defending Zadarius Smith by any means. But I'm looking at a team with no fire. They're not playing inspired football at all. And you just got rid of like one of the few glimmers of leadership you have back there. So it looks questionable at best right now, So I don't know. Maybe he was blindsided, because we've seen that happen too. But I guess we'll never know. And like I said, I don't think we're going to learn anything tomorrow with Goody's press conference.
Right.
Yeah,
we'll learn how bad the mics sound again.
I got another conspiracy corner here. Are you ready for this? Let me hit the music here. Get it. Not
set the tone. What a night to play that. There we go.
So exactly. What if Rasul talked to these players at his locker, right? And then they were like, "Yeah, we got to do something." And he went straight to the brass and was like, "Hey, listen, this ain't gonna fly," right?
And they were like, "Bye."
And they went. What with the old entourage meme or gif?
Yeah.
Get up. Out, right? Who knows? Something. I don't know, man. That's just strange to me, though, dude.
Maybe that's why it was his worst game. He was holding back all the emotions of fighting for this team. And what's going to really suck is when the Buffalo goes to the playoffs and he'll have a game-ending pick or something like that, and it'll just be the icing right on the cake for us.
Yeah. And you know what? When he makes that pick, I'll be rooting for him.
For sure. What a guy. Yeah, him and Micah Hyde are going to link up, and they're going to be like, dude, of course Green Bay kicked you out, man. We're about to lock it down over here.
Yep. Exactly. So to go back to what Jake Shavink said here in the chat, at least those 2/3 can get back into round 2 or back to Goody's favorite round 4, right? Tim immediately said, yeah, I want to know what Jake Shavink thinks, right? Well, check this out. I actually did a screenshot real quick. And then we got a super chat we got to get to. This is what he screenshotted earlier. It's going to be a little bit blurry. Hopefully you can read it. I'll read it off to you. So this was his mock draft after the Rasul Douglas trade. With the fifth, he took the 6th overall pick and traded back and got the 15th overall pick and an extra second rounder. Okay. And what he came away with was, with the 15th overall pick, taking a wide receiver from Washington. Hope I say his name right. Rome Odunze. Then in the second round, pick 38, he took a tackle, Jordan Morgan, out of Arizona. In round 2, pick 47, he took quarterback out of LSU, Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels, was he at Ohio State at some point, or am I thinking someone? I may be thinking someone else. Round 2, pick 49, he took cornerback, Denzel Burke. So there's kind of your replacement for Rasul. Round 3, pick 70, took safety Rod Moore. Of course, they gave him an A- for that pick. Sounds pretty darn good to me. Pick 88, took a guard in Tate Ratledge. And pick 106 in the 4th round, took halfback Travion Henderson. Like that pick a lot. Round 4, pick 135, he took safety Malachi Moore. So I just thought we'd share that real quick. That's what Jake did earlier. I love how Jake wastes no time, man, and gets right into what does this mean? Right. So,
always draft season, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's see here. Let me get back to the super chat.
It is cool that we have 8 picks in the first 4 rounds. I mean, that is kind of cool, but we got to get through another 10 weeks of football.
And we would like to be able to enjoy it a little bit.
Yeah. So that's it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off on Mike.
Oh, you're good, though. You're good, man. Mike Hebring with the super chat says Murphy and Goot sending a message to Matt? ? I don't know, dude. I don't know, man. What do you think what do you think Mike means there, Emilio, when he says was Mark Murphy, and Brian Gutekunst sending a message to Matt? What do you think he means there? I don't care what he actually means. I want to know what you think he means.
He could be. He could be saying, "I'm going to get you one more lick of picks, and that's all you're going to have because once Murphy's out of here, this is going to be your last shot, Matt. Everyone's clearing house in 2025 if it's not done." I mean, if I feel maybe he's trying to do another 2018 all over again, but now we're just like the extra youngest team in the NFL. Like it's like, let's just get rid of anybody that's over 27 and we'll just we're good to go for the next 5 years. But I don't know, man. If it's on Matt's shoulders, I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah. What do you think, Tim?
I agree with him.
Tim looks exhausted. Look at him. He's so emotionally drained.
You just talked about we got to get through 10 games. Shoot, what about 2024 and 2025? And,
oh no, we're gonna be elite.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're gonna be elite. Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I would just say, what we've been saying. I guess we have to be patient because that's what we're left with, guys. Like, we're not going to compete this year. We're clearly not, and we haven't been. And if you think you're going to turn this around with a draft, you're sorely mistaken.
It'll be a big water.
Yeah, you better hit on every single pick, and they better all be beasts and studs. So this isn't going to get better next year or the year after. I mean, we got to look ahead to the future and hope for the best. But yeah, guys, like I'm looking for positivity right now, but it sure seems like all bets are off, man. Like I don't know. I don't want to say they're going nuclear, but it seems like they're going nuclear, man. Like, yeah. And maybe they are telling LaFleur, like, here you go. See how good of a coach you really are. Yeah. Here's your squad. Make something happen. And if not, I guarantee you Matt LaFleur is going to be the first one getting the boot. I'll tell you that. Crazy, man. It's not, and it won't be Goody.
Right. Maybe they've seen enough of Valentine in practice to make the move.
Well,
that's what I thought. I was like, man, are they high on Carrington Valentine?
Right.
And we don't know it because what else would explain? I mean, it can't just be $9 million on the cap, man.
Like,
right. That can't be the factor. And it certainly isn't $9 million on the cap and we give up a pick to get a pick. Like that there's got to be something else going on here in my mind.
Yeah. We got a caller on the line. I'm going to hit the super chat real quick, then we'll go to you, Carly. United Bates, thank you for the super chat. He said maybe he had an idea. Poor play and bad interviews after game by players like we defeated. What's he
like they were defeated. Yeah, no, I get it.
And you know what? Something else we're not ruling out here, and we haven't even really thought about it. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear Rasul went to them and said, I want to trade.
Yeah, well, I did hear, I'm paraphrasing here, but I did hear there were some comments along the lines of I'm not a loser and I'm sick of losing. And we've been losing the last 2 years. Something to that extent. And so that could have rubbed.
Started here, ain't we, Tim? Me and you, we're going to be in trouble. We're going to get all kinds of rumors started.
I mean, if that's true and that was said in front of guys in the locker room, that could rub management the wrong way. There is a thing as being too vocal sometimes, and I don't know, but hey, devil's advocate, Clayton, I'm right with you. He could have walked right into Goody's office and said, "Man, get this done, dude. You got 48 hours left. Let's make it happen." And maybe that's why we have the deal we have. It was kind of a hastily thrown together deal, and Buffalo bit and gave up the pick, and we just got it done to get him out of here. I don't know.
And I mean, if he took him as that would be fine. If Rasul came to him like that and said, "Hey man, get me out of here. You know, they just lost Tre'Davious White. Let me go over there and I'll lock it down for them." That's cool. But if they pulled the rug from under him, man, after a game like that, that's where it hurts. That's what are we do? I get that it's a that's why it's a business. It's not, personal, but it feels personal, man. That's why we feel it.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's go to the phones here. We got Carly Ray on the line. Carly, how you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing much better now that my husband took my 3 sugared up kids to bed after Halloween. Man, that is no joke. This holiday.
I got to ask you this though, Carly. You snuck some of that candy away, right? Like what did you steal out of their bag? Be honest.
Oh, I stole the majority of it. Actually, they hardly get any of it. They got like 2 pieces, and then we hide it up in the cupboard and just snack on it all year long.
That's the American dream right there, being a parent, man. Yeah, absolutely. So what's on your mind, Carly? Talk to us. Cheer us up here.
Cheer you up, man. I can't do it. After Rasul is the only player I felt like a connection to, because my mom got to talk to him at the Christmas party last year, and the things that she told me he was just awesome. He was respectful. He actually interacted with the regular public as opposed to the majority of the players, and I was so impressed by his demeanor and the yes ma'am, no ma'am, respectful. He was watching his diet at the Christmas dinner, really wanting to be the best for the team, and to hear he's gone, man, I feel my heart. I'm just gutted, guys. I'm gutted. Sorry, I just have to mourn with the rest of you, really.
Yeah, well, you're in good company tonight, because that's exactly what we're doing. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And, something else that happened, I don't know if you guys see my tweet earlier today, but I probably should pull it up so I don't misquote myself. That would be embarrassing, right? I won't play the actual – I don't think I have the audio. Yeah, I do have the video of it's of Jair Alexander. Remember the awkward interview he did in the locker room that I was talking about? I think I actually played it for you guys. Sure. So I was listening to Wildy and Tausch from yesterday, and this is my tweet, what I put out, and I'll read the tweet because it was fresh on my mind at the time. I put, per Jason Wildy on Wildy and Tausch, immediately following this awkward exchange with the media, Packers cornerback Jair Alexander said, quote, this is after the cameras stopped rolling and they were done interviewing him, Jair Alexander said to the media, "I'm finished being scolded for things I've said," and walked off. And then was seen having a lengthy conversation with the Packers PR team. So you guys remember when he said, "Put me on offense"? Remember when he said, "I guess we need to hold them to 0 points"? Well, evidently someone, either in the coaching staff, the PR team, or whatever, told him, knock it off. Then he went out there and just said, I don't know. And then, it's obvious they told him, just don't say anything then if you're going to say stuff like that. And then after he was done with the interview, he says to a media member, "I'm done being scolded for things I've said."
Right. So there's another guy. It's like, you don't want to be here, man. Like, find this guy the door. If we really have to. And it hurts me to say that because I got so much love for dude. And, all of this crap can be solved by simply playing better football.
Yeah, winning would solve everything. Rasul wouldn't have been gone. If we won 2 of those games, I don't think Rasul would have been gone. Maybe even one of them.
Don't get cooked by a rookie and then run your mouth. These kind of things might go a long way, to help things. But I don't know, man. I feel like this is just going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, there was a famous man that said that one time. Dalton on Roadhouse said that. I don't know if you guys remember, but he did. He actually said it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Roadhouse.
And he was being honest. So, Carly, what else you got? We're getting ready. We're winding down here. We're approaching the hour mark, but I'm glad you called in. We haven't talked in a while. What do you? What else is on your mind? What do you think? Do you think they're? I'm going to ask your opinion on this. Do you think they're collecting draft picks to try to climb up and get a quarterback? Do you think that's kind of the long-term mindset here? Or what do you think about that theory, that conspiracy theory, if you will?
Honestly, Clayton, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know enough really about. I mean, I understand the basics, but all the different things to take into account and the history and everything. I don't see them getting rid of Matt LaFleur, which at this point think kind of unfortunately. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. The issues that I see right now when you think of players, people that are the workhorses of the organization that want to speak up, that feel like they can't speak up, that are trying to do well but are handicapped by the people above them. I mean, that honestly, I've seen it in other arenas. I've seen it in healthcare, which is the arena I work in. That all points to poor management. And so I think regardless, I guess my take on that is I don't know whether they're going to go for a quarterback. I hope it's not because I think they'll also ruin him. I think whatever they do, it's not going to matter. So whatever they do, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, it's again, it kind of goes back to what we talked about just a second ago, Emilio. Matt LaFleur is not proven. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Mike, the super fan in the chat, Mike Hebring. I don't need to kill time going back, but he said something along the lines of here we go. He said, name one guy that has legitimately developed under LaFleur in the past 4 years. He's a coordinator, nothing more. Now, I'm not saying I agree with Mike completely, but name one player that's developed under Matt LaFleur in the last 4 years. Tim, you take a swing at it. Who's the first person that comes to mind? Because I'm drawing a blank, my man.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly isn't Josiah DeGuara. So,
I guess you could say Zach Tom, but
hey, there you go.
You would have to stick to the offense.
Elton Jenkins, maybe. I don't know. Yeah,
Quay Walker, I think, has developed a lot, but that I think is because he had such a hard rookie year that he realized he really had to make that jump, and so it was personally motivated. He sought out the ways to make himself better, and he did it himself. It was intrinsically motivated. It wasn't Matt LaFleur's, that wasn't on him.
Yeah, and I think Quay came into the league with a lot of steam as a rookie too, coming off a national title, and just champion's mindset and wanting to get better. I mean, you even look at some of those mistakes he made in his rookie year, and you could see his frustration was not him having a temper tantrum. He was frustrated with himself for making those mistakes and, wanted to get better. But I would agree. I don't think you put Quay's development on Goody or on LaFleur.
Right. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, at all. So, that's a good point. I think I'm with you, Emilio. Maybe Zach Tom would probably be your best argument there.
Hey, here's one. Drew D said Rashawn Gary developed a ton. That's a very good point. Rashawn Gary was drafted in when? 2018 or 2019?
19? I think it was 19.
And that was completely under Matt LaFleur. Not that Matt LaFleur was out there working with him specifically, but we're talking all sides of the ball, right?
But you know what? Carly's point would apply to Rashawn too, because that dude owns it. I mean, that guy's working himself. I mean, I don't know if there's someone out there that's going to develop him more than he's going to develop himself. So,
Eric Sutherland.
No way, Eric.
Eric Sutherland says Josh Myers has flourished in Matt LaFleur's offense.
Oh, we're going to give him some.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he sounds like ROC, right? I mean, Myers is playing the best football of his life.
Oh, God. I can't take it. And every time I hear it, bro. Every time I hear it.
What the hell's going on out here?
Oh, my God, man.
We run some tape.
I believe he had the brass to say that, man. He's playing the best football of his life. I went, man, I have invested, since I've invested 30 years of my life into watching football, and I still don't know anything about it. If Josh Myers is playing the best football of his life, well, I think
Clayton, run that picture. You got that picture, right? Pull that still up again. That horror story still. Let's see that picture of that Josh Myers blocking Casper the Friendly Ghost. Oh, you did? Oh, it's okay. It'll pop up on Chalk Talk tomorrow for sure.
Oh yeah, it'll be there. Believe me. We got this one still, though. I'm saving this one forever.
Hey!
You kidding me?
Oh, man.
This thing's off the rails, man. Look at this. Here we go. The angry casual fan drops in there and says, we develop players for other teams to pay.
There it is. Yep.
We pull the coal out of the ground, we shine it up, turn it into a diamond, and we go, all right, where you at
least Rasul didn't go to the Raiders. At least it was a different team this time. We've been sending guys to the
then
Raiders.
Devontae's going to want to go to the Bills next because he doesn't want to be there either. He's sitting on the bench all by himself.
Yeah.
Man, I watched some of that game last night, and to see, it makes me sick to think that Jimmy Garoppolo lit us up the way he did. Because
did you see that dust he threw up there?
Absolute cheeks, man.
Yeah, man.
Cheeks. Like it's. Yeah. Nick the Realtor in the chat said that's under Barry's development and his own technique work. I mean, I don't know if he's being sarcastic, trying to be funny or what, but I think it you can't really put a defensive player under Matt LaFleur's development. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'd be more Mike Smith.
Yeah. Now this right here, there's going to come a point in this season if things keep going the way they're going that this conversation is going to shift to this right here, right? Jake Shavink in the chat said, so do we like Ben Johnson or Mike McDonald more? Talking about bringing in the next head coach. I'm not ready to fire LaFleur yet, and I was the guy. I got to own my own words, man. I was the guy that said it's not fair to LaFleur to have this roster, right, and a quarterback this inaccurate, and expect him to go out and make the playoffs, right? I think it would be unfair to LaFleur to be fired, but at the same time, man, if you drop the 4 wins, I think we got to, guys. What do you think, Carly? How many wins would it take that would justify firing Matt LaFleur, Carly?
So according to Andy Herman's podcast, and when he was talking with Justice Mosqueda, it was I think anyone who had not won a Super Bowl in the previous years, who was considered a veteran head coach, if they went 5 or less wins in a season, it was like a 98% chance that they were going to be fired because it did not make sense to keep them.
Carly, you're too smart to be on this show with us knuckleheads. That's good info right there.
So that begs the question: does this team have 3 wins in them?
I don't know. Do we want Hard Knocks or what? I feel like
we're gonna get it either way, man.
I feel like he's already setting up the cameras, man. He's just gonna get rid of them.
I feel like I have let Tim down so much because every time someone mentions Hard Knocks in Green Bay, I get so excited, man.
It would be cool. It would be cool, but not at the same time.
Yeah, it'd be cool for all the wrong reasons. Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to see Tim in the background on one of those shots at the Don Hudson Center out there.
Yeah. But just to add to that, if we do that and we get Hard Knocks and we get a new head coach, you're telling me you're going to put all of that on film? You're going to put a
no. I don't think, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't know anything about Hard Knocks except for this last season. And I didn't even watch it. I just heard about it because I don't have whatever thing it streamed on. But I think they want to do Hard Knocks over a quarterback that somebody wants to see, that everybody's really tuned in, and a head coach. And so if we have that much turnover, gosh, whatever happens, I cannot see the entire American public want to know the down and dirty details of our quarterback's life if we go, 4-13 this year. I really can't see them wanting to watch that.
That's a good point. And like Clayton said, just because we missed the playoffs 2 years in a row, so we're eligible to be on Hard Knocks. Basically, we're in the mix. We're in the basket of names that the league can force to be on. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a surefire done deal.
Although,
kind of like the Jets ended up being this year. I think once, we heard the rumors start, and then once the trade was finalized and we knew what was going on, that was inevitable. They were going to go for the Jets.
That's all I'm saying is.
And that's to Carly's point. They had Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
But what if we had a brand new coach coming in? You don't think that they would be like, all right, we haven't ever really had cameras inside of Green Bay. They got a brand new coach, quarterback that's, just trying to figure it out. I feel like they would try to eat that up and be like, let's get our shot of getting in there. Are they going to be out of the playoffs for how much longer? If they're trying to make a run, that's my only thing. Is
especially if we go up in the draft and get a quarterback, right?
Yeah. Could you imagine if they did land Caleb Williams and we're on Hard Knocks?
No, we'll bring in Shadur. We'll bring in Sanders, and we'll be the talk of the town.
Bring in Dion too. Heck, dude, I like Dion personally.
Oh, me too. But it's like the stuff
that Tim's staying so quiet over there.
Well, just
Dion said he didn't want to coach adults. He said that he didn't want to coach.
Hey, he's coming to the right place with the way
I was going to say, bring him to Green Bay. We got a bunch of kids.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying, Emilio.
I was just saying, like on Ryan's pod, how he's playing, like how Dion talks. That's kind of what we need, like.
Yes, definitely yes.
Yeah, we're not gonna be better. We're gonna be great. We're not gonna be tiny. We're gonna be huge, kind of thing. Like that. That's where we need to be. But
kind of like Rasul was saying, and
right,
showed him the door.
Yep, you got it, Tim.
I don't get it. Why does this team not like guys stepping up like that? I don't know. There's got to be more to this. Like Clayton, I'm so glad you said what you said, man. For all we know, Rasul was like, trade me. Like for all we know, he was like, man, get me out of here.
That would make the most sense to me. You know what I mean? And if that is the case, and Rasul said, I'm done, I want out, and Goody got a third, I'm off Goody's back a little bit.
Right, right.
And I'm not even going to blame Rasul. I mean, I don't blame him.
Right.
I mean, at some point, you got to look out for yourself and your own career too. And if he's, this is a guy who wants to win. Clearly, Rasul is motivated by winning. I don't think he's motivated by the bag or the contract. I think it's about winning, and he's tired of not winning. So
if Rasul did go ask for a trade, I think that Goody would say that tomorrow. I think he would spill the beans just a bit to say, yeah, it was a mutual thing between us and Rasul.
We had talked about it.
Yeah.
Take some of the heat off of him too. Yeah,
that's all I want to hear is, hey, we talked about it. Not a, hey, we flipped him after the game. He had a terrible, showing. He's got to go.
Yeah, right. Now if they ran Rasul out of town, my stance is still.
I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
Wait, we were the team that said happy birthday to a guy and then kicked him off the team.
God, that was horrible.
So, I don't know.
Oh, so bad. It was so bad.
All right, let's. You see Drew's super chat, Clayton, that just came through?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Thank you, man. I'm over here being unprofessional. Thank you so much.
Adding to that, if a team has a first-year head coach, then they are ineligible for Hard Knocks. Spicy.
Oh, look at that.
So that's
does that mean first year with that team or first year head coach overall?
Carly, why you do it? We just had it figured out.
I'm gonna guess it's got to be first year with the team.
Yeah,
I would think. Right.
Oh, that's
I would think so.
But maybe not. Who knows?
I didn't think we had an out, so that helps, I guess, if he doesn't want the cameras in there.
Oh man, the seat just got hotter for Maddie.
Yeah, geez. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat, Drew. And if you know the answer, okay, new coach. Okay, that's what Brent just said. So
okay,
Brent may not know as much as we do, and he's just firing away over that.
Hey, we'll take it. Yeah.
But Drew, thank you so much for the super chat, man. That's very spicy. I agree. She said, Murph said, Dion said they aren't leaving yet. I love Dion though, man. I love what they're doing out there. I just wonder. What's that?
I said I wouldn't want to leave. If you only got 1 year with your kids, you might as well pull up. Yeah. Get a second year with them, and
it's bigger than football for Dion.
Right.
Dion wants to change lives, man. He's there. He's there. He changed that program. He turned that program around.
Yeah.
Called his shot too. Called his shot.
Yeah, and he cares about his players. Every single player on that roster.
He's there to grow young men, not
not just coach football. Right. That's just part of the job,
Absolutely. Let's see here. So Drew just responded and said it's a new coach with the franchise, by the way. So
okay, there we go.
Yeah, there it is. And this is the last one we'll take. We'll get out of here. I said we're going to keep it under an hour, but you guys jumped on here, and it's your fault. I'm blaming Carly tonight. She kept the conversation going. So, Nick the Realtor in the chat says, I don't think either of our coordinators or head coach are developmental coaches. Guys just are not growing due to coaching or becoming smarter football players. Now, some people would read that and think, what does he know? That's a hot take, right? Well, I don't pretend like I know everything. Believe me, I'm wrong all the time. I say it. I'm married. I'm wrong every day. I promise you that. When Michael Lombardi comes out and says that, right? You've got these scheme coaches, you got developmental coaches, right? Another thing he points out too, by the way, which really struck a chord with me, is how West Coast coaches, because you guys know Michael Lombardi, he's been on both ends of the spectrum, but these modern day West Coast coaches typically have bad special teams because they don't build their roster to have a strong special team, right? For what it's worth. But he talked about that very thing. Now, some of you are going, I don't like Michael Lombardi. I don't think he knows as much as you think he does, Clayton. All right, I respectfully disagree. What about Mike Wall? Because Mike Wall is looking at the tape and going, these are fundamentals. He said, I don't know what they're coaching over there. I don't know what they're teaching. He posted that tackle drill video. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
They were diving at Yeah, and I kind of jokingly answered, but I was also like, "That might be. I don't know." Diving at the. And he said, "What about the one in the middle where the guy moves the foam away from the guy diving?" I said, "Maybe they're practicing a scramble ball drill. You know what I mean, like a fumble drill." I don't have any clue. He was baffled. Like he coaches football, right? He's a personal coach. It's like, I don't know what the hell they're teaching in that drill. Like, that's crazy. Diving at people's legs, I guess. Like, who teaches that? So anyway, I don't know, man. Let's see.
It's working. That's all we're doing. blocking ghosts and diving at guys' legs.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's go around the horn real quick. Before we wrap up. First of all, Marco Day wraps it up for us. He says, "What the F are they teaching, man?" I don't know, dude. I don't know. They got some pretty eyebrows, though. Let's go around the horn here. Emilio, final thoughts, bro.
I love Rasul. Still love the Packers. I don't know what's going on right now. I guess we're just gonna strap in and hang on, and we'll see how it turns out in another 4 games, and then the 10 weeks will be up soon enough, I guess. If we could. I mean, we got to beat the Bears, and we got to not be like Montgomery wanting to get out. If we're that team that people want to get out from, that's a problem. We don't need that here.
Got it. Got it. All right, Carly Ray, what do you got?
Oh man, I just want to say this is my first year of really digging in, and I've watched the Packers for years, but I've never really got it or understood a lot of the behind the scenes or even the plays and whatnot. But I just want to say that in this year of them just really not tearing it up, I'm so thankful to have a group of people like you to commiserate with and to talk about it with and learn with. And I'm growing so much. And everybody in the chat too, all the guys and people that I, have chatted with and stuff. I'm so thankful for all of you. Thankful for you, Clayton, and teaching. It's just been a great, great way to learn.
No, we appreciate the kind words, and the same thing goes right back to you. It's like you said in the chat, all the listeners, all of us kind of creating this little community where we can learn together. And again, I don't know about you guys, but when you go outside of this stream and kind of look on Twitter and look at some of the other streams, it's like they're not having fun. We're still having fun, right? It sucks, don't get me wrong, but at least we're learning exactly what's going wrong, right? And bouncing ideas off of each other. And like I said, sharing information that we've all gathered, like Drew coming in here with the Hard Knocks, all that stuff. I learned something every episode. So
laugh a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's what it's all about for sure. But yeah, we appreciate that, Carly. And it's always awesome to have you on here. Tim, what do you got, big dog?
Keep looking for the positive. That's all we can do, guys. We have to make an effort to look for any positive momentum or growth with our players or this team. Clearly, the vision is for the future. I don't want to be doom and gloom because that's not my style. But yeah, clearly this season is, we're kind of putting wraps on it, and we're barely halfway through it. It is what it is. So we got to get our roster eval done, and we got to keep our eyes focused on moving ahead. So any growth we see from young players on this team is good. Any movement we get within the roster the rest of this year, more snaps for younger players, keep an eye on the positives. Maybe this does mean Carrington Valentine gets a little bit playing time, and we get to see a little more of him develop as a little caveat to this whole Rasul deal. Maybe something good does come out of this. So I want to just, say, hey, it sucks right now, guys, but, make an effort to look for the positive, and we'll find it, and we'll feel a little better about our team. So go Pack, go.
Absolutely. Eric Sutherland wraps it up for us with a nice little bow. He said, "Look, folks, at least we're not Bear fans."
Take it.
I'm saying so. We're out of here. Thank you so much to everyone who hung out with us tonight. Marco Day, I'm oddly calm about the future of the Pack. We got no choice, my man, but it is what it is. Thank you to all the super chats. I'm going to try to rattle them off. You guys brung the thunder tonight. Josh Martin, Mike Hebring, Smug Industries, United Bates, Goose. Let's see who else in here. Drew, Seth Ruder. So good to hear from Seth, man. Awesome guy there. Again, thank you all so much. I think I got them off. I didn't mention your name. I apologize, but we really appreciate you guys supporting the stream. You guys are absolutely awesome. So we're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Give you an injury report. Might do Chalk Talk tomorrow. Might have to push it to Thursday. I'm trying to find some time. I've almost got it completed. We got 20 plays we're breaking down. Oh my God. It was like having to sit through a funeral 20 different times, bro. It's so
Oh no.
at the same time, you're going to come away just like I did, going, okay, that's what happened, and that's the issue. Let's get it cleaned up, right? So, but again, thanks to everybody with the super chats. Thanks to all the guys and gals in the chat tonight as well. Emilio, Carly, Tim, appreciate y'all. For those of you listening on the pod, thank you for making us a part of your day. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world, and go Pack Go.
The power sweep. Actually, it's the lead play in our offense.
Come to tackle, take the defensive end if he's over him. If he's not, you drive down the first man to his inside. Pull back and get him. Take the first man outside the offensive tackle. No one goes. You go right by them and field inside. If the YN has the linebacker taken out, he cuts inside. If the YN has the linebacker in, he comes all the way around. If you look at this play, what we're trying to get is a seal here and a seal here, and try to run this play in the alley.